Yeah, I have got a nice room in my back of my shop. So I spent night there, and it was not a glorious night, I remember. It was kind of a really scary night. And they don't harm me, but I know there is something in there. I cannot see them, and I know they can see me. I felt better not to mess around here. Just get up. And that's what I did. I didn't want to stay there and kind of challenge them.
I don't think I would stay there at night necessarily. I imagine that place becomes a whole different place after dark, because there are a lot of souls that are still there due to being a mortuary. Firdaus was afraid of them more than anything, and I have photographs and things that I have never shown him because I didn't want to scare him, of you see energies up in his store and such. And the things that I picked up there, lots of times I don't tell him. I don't let him know what I see or what I hear.
Janet one time came and she took some videos, she took the pictures, and I thought, hey, that was your red flag, warning. Don't mess around here, just do your business, leave them alone.
The energy was so strong, and I felt a coldness on my arm, and then it slowly progressed around my back and then all encompassed me. It's a cold like you've never felt in your life ever. It's to your bones. Your bones are cold. It kept getting colder and colder and colder, and you could see my breath. My teeth were chattering. But I would walk through that basement, and it would follow me, and I would come right back. When it first starts, the whole room fills up with a mist. And then this little being starts to formulate, and this little white entity is coming closer and closer and closer. And then out of the darkness comes this huge claw, almost like a saber-tooth tiger claw, and it swipes at this little entity, and it backs up and disappears. But I have no idea what it is. I've never seen anything like this claw. When I first saw it, it really frightened me. When we got the video of the claw, I did not show that to him until, probably almost a year later. I didn't want him to know that was down there and be afraid of that.
I was scared to death, even to go down and...
Okay, so with this testimony here, again, you see that this woman, she can't even make the connection that what she thinks the spirits of this prostitute's body and lover somehow connect to the spirits and orbs that she's finding on camera and video. That's because they have nothing to do with one another. What again that we're seeing is that with this mist, it brings forth other spirits with it, including the orbs that you saw in the previous slides that she was talking about, and these luminous orbs, plus this beast here, this claw-like beast. The only word I can give it is that it's a beast. And remember, in the previous video, we just saw a woman who just saw a mist with claw down her back. And you can see here, this woman is testifying to what a video she captured, where claws are manifested out of these dark shadows, taking a swipe at another entity. Because again, you can see the hierarchy between what's powerful and what's not, who's the master and who's not, and this mist seems to be like the conduit between all of them, and they go from lowest to highest. From my observation, being the orbs are the lowest, then comes these mists along with these beasts. And you're going to see this over and over and over again. But again, it's just a testament to what these mist spirits do, what they are like, and how they operate, and what's their agenda. And it goes back to what the scripture says, not what I say, but what the scripture says, referring to they come in, they leave, they bring back more spirits worse than itself. They want to be like God, doing anything to do that, and they want to also possess a person or possess a place that they can call their sanctuary where they could be worshipped. Okay, let's move on. So as we mentioned in the, I believe, Luminous Snakes Bible study, we saw a family being tormented by a poltergeist, very demonic spirits, in which it destroyed their home, and upon discovering the damage, they saw this footprint. And this footprint here is marked by 3 toes, an indentation in the center, and the ball of its foot. Now the thing about it that's so remarkable, when I discovered this video and this testimony, and this is the actual photo of what was captured in the home. What is so remarkable is that it corroborates this video, totally different from a video captured in a basement where the woman describes a mist followed by a luminous spirit and another spirit that manifests itself and comes out as a claw taking a strike at the more subservient one. And it's just strikingly amazing to see the relation between this footprint here and this claw that manifests out of nothing, that comes out of this darkness after this mist brings them there. So I just wanted you to see that there is a correlation between what this mist can do. But let's move on to scriptures here. So unclean spirits seek rest within human beings, men and women, along dry and deserted places where they can call it their own. So I just want to make clear again where they are trying to find residence at, where they are trying to call a place of their own, a dwelling of their own. And you see here when Mark, it says, when an unclean spirit goes out of a man, he goes through dry places seeking rest and finds none. Dry places. Okay? Then it says here, now when a man was in the synagogues with the unclean spirits, he cried out. So we see that not only do they seek rest in dry places, they also go inside of men. Then it says here in Luke, and a certain woman who had been healed of evil spirits and infirmities, Mary called Magdalene, out of whom had 7 demons. And they also go into women. So we see that the dwelling places that they seek, or the targets that they go after, are dry places, deserted places, places that are abandoned, okay, like basements, empty homes, cemeteries, and such. And then we see here also, they also do the same for a man, and they also do the same for a woman. Now, you could ask yourself, what's the similarity between dry places compared to a man and a woman? Well, a person who's dry doesn't produce fruit, just like a desert. A person who doesn't produce fruit, a desert doesn't produce fruit, as an empty man doesn't produce fruit, or an empty woman doesn't produce fruit. So the comparison here is that a person who lacks anything good, a person who is empty on the inside, or a woman who is empty on the inside, or a woman who does not produce any good fruit, is a primary target that these unclean spirits seek. So the correlation between this is that they seek to find places where a person is empty or less resistant, or will be less resistant upon trying to take advantage of them or trying to take possession of them. So that's what you're finding here, is they look for folks who are considered dry on the inside, a dry place. So let's move on. So in addition to spirits wanting to seek rest in dry places and not finding any, they'll go back to where they just left, or they go inside of a man or a woman who's dry on the inside. But another hallmark of spirits is that when they're possessed, demons seem to dwell where death is apparent in terms of human corpses. Matthew says, when he had come to the other side, to the country of Gergesenes, there met him 2 demon-possessed men coming out of the tomb, exceedingly fierce, so that no one could pass that way. So we see that a man here who was demon-possessed, 2 men actually, dwelt in tombs. So this is a hallmark about spirits and demons, is that they take pleasure in being in cemeteries. And we also see this in Luke. It says here, when he had stepped out onto the land, There met him a certain man from the city who had a demon for a long time, and he wore no clothes, nor did he live in a house, but in tombs. So we see again that those who are possessed, moved by spirits, tend to dwell in tombs or in cemeteries. That seems to be the most common place where they like to dwell at. My only guess to this, from my understanding of the scriptures and all that I researched, is that where there are tombs and where there is a cemetery, of course there are deceased folks there, but they are loved ones. And what you'll see happen is people will come to these cemeteries to pay their respects to their loved ones. But what then happens is, if you have an unclean spirit that's there listening to your grievances, it's an opportune time for them to imitate what it is that you may be questioning, what it is that may be on your mind that you're asking, some type of sign that you may want from them to know that they're there, in which they'll play on your grievances to then show that that deceased person is actually alive, and then you see the sign because you attribute the sign to the question that you asked at the cemetery, and you make the connection that it is your deceased loved one, and that deceased loved one is alive in spirit and is there to protect you. And now you're worshiping the spirit. So it's the most easiest way for them to portray themselves as someone who has passed away that you really love, so that when you go there, they can play towards that, or play against it rather, and then you end up believing that the deceased loved one is actually alive in the spirit as a ghost, when that's not the case. They're just portraying that by answering the questions or invoking the signs that you're looking for, just to get you to believe in them. It goes back to believing with sight, which is opposite of faith. But that's my closest guess as to why they like to be there. Plus, Satan is also an endorser of death, and if he's an endorser of death, he consents to death and destruction. It makes only perfect sense that they would be in a place where death is seemingly seen everywhere, and that's a cemetery as well. Okay, so let's move on. Okay, so here we go.
My fear was Van Ron.
There's actually some crazy video of a big white stripe. It's just really strange.
Whatever was in that house, you can't fight.
My favorite season of the year is Halloween. I love haunted houses and I love going to them, and I'm a big fan of them. My good story begins when I bought a house to turn into a haunted attraction. And it actually was a haunted house. I just drove by this place, and I was like, that place is amazing. It looks like a haunted house. It just has that nostalgic feeling of a haunted attraction. Jennifer's my girlfriend. She's excited about Halloween just like I am.
Me and Matt have been talking about getting a haunted attraction.
The house looked like a haunted house. It was in the perfect location. When you walk up to it, it looks larger than life, and it just looks like it's staring at you. It's built in 1859. So the decor on the outside is amazing, and it just has that really eerie look to it. I didn't realize it was vacant until I actually drove up onto the property itself. I had to dig through the Chamber of Commerce to find out who actually owned the place. The guy lived in another state. I contacted him. I told him my idea. He first was not really wanting to do it because the history of the house, which he never shared it with me. I found it through somebody else. He finally agreed to the terms of let me do a haunted attraction.
It was a little intimidating because, you know, you have everything that goes into it, but still very exciting.
As soon as you open the door, the staircase is huge, and it goes right up there in front of you. And 10-foot tall ceilings. The place had been abandoned for 7.5 years.
Needless to say, we didn't have to spend a lot of money on the spider webs.
There's no electricity in the house whatsoever. It's pitch black. All I have is a flashlight. I'm drilling holes in the wall, and I pull my drill back, and I hear a little girl behind me say, "Why are you doing that?" At that point, my drill was on the floor and it just shot across the room. I thought it was Jennifer.
So strong, and I felt a coldness on my arm, and then it slowly progressed around my back and then all encompassed me. It's a cold like you've never felt in your life ever. It's to your bones. Your bones are cold. It kept getting colder and colder and colder, and you could see my breath. My teeth were chattered of souls that are still there due to being a mortuary. Firdaus was afraid of them more than anything, and I have photographs and things that I have never shown him because I didn't want to scare him of you see energies up in his store and such. And the things that I picked up there, lots of times I don't tell him. I don't let him know what I see or what I hear.
Janet one time came and she took some videos, she took the pictures, and I thought, hey, that was your red flag, warning. Don't mess around here, just do your business, leave them alone.
The energy was...
I felt better not to mess around here, just get up. And that's what I did. I didn't want to stay there and kind of challenge them.
I don't think I would stay there at night necessarily. I imagine that place becomes a whole different place after dark because there are a lot.
Yeah, I have got a nice room in my back of my shop. So I spent night there, and it was not a glorious night, I remember. It was kind of a really scary night. And they don't harm me, but I know there is something in there. I cannot see them, and I know they can see me.